change, we gotta fight for it. Ain't nobody gonna give it to us. We just gonna have to take it. How many more funerals do we gotta go to? How many more scenes of the crime do we gotta watch?
TX Sheepdog72 sitting here with James Fleming. I contacted James Fleming asking him if he would like to talk to me about everything that's going on. In the interest of doing a fair and complete story, I reached out to him. He's agreed to talk to me, and the only thing I know is to talk about everything that's going on. And you know, I talked to SAXC Prez, and you know, he tells me on the phone what happened, and videos come out, and I watch the videos. So that's all I know. Just like everybody else, we see the videos, and we're limited to what information we see online.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
I'll tell you what I think happened is Jonah was in a restroom. He came out. You told him to put his hands on the wall. He didn't. He immediately voiced that he did not consent to a search. You informed him you were doing a Terry pat down. You conducted a Terry pat down. Then you guys went to the vice principal's office. And in the vice principal's office, the vice principal wanted to search him. He wanted to call his parents. The vice principal told him he couldn't. Then he wanted the vice principal to notify his parents. The vice principal said no and wouldn't allow him to do that, and still wanted to do that search. You were present. It was you, the vice principal, and him present in the vice principal's office. I don't know how long it took, but eventually he consented. He took off his socks and shoes, took his socks inside out, took his pockets inside out. From what I understand, nobody touched him. The bag was searched, nothing was found. He was sent back to class. And that's the gist that I got from the videos of what occurred.
Right.
Since then, Todd has put out videos pertaining to the incident. The school has been contacted by many people, which is often the case when videos are put out.
Right.
If people perceive any wrongdoing, they're gonna call. So the school's been contacted. From what I understand, you've been placed on administrative leave. The vice principal, we're not sure what her status is, but Jonah hasn't seen her anywhere. And now I think Todd is receiving phone calls, or somebody's trying to contact people around him and smear his name and smears Jonah's name. And so what I'd like to do is give you an opportunity to, and you can ask whatever question.
Right.
If
you
ask something and I know the answer to it, I'll give it to you.
No. So real quick, before the interaction, like I tell you how the interaction went. Like this was my first school year here at Kitty Hawk Middle School, right? So during that time, you know, I build intelligence, right, through people who come up to me, students who come up to me and say, you know, so-and-so is in the bathroom and they have, you know, drugs or whatever, or they're smoking or whatever. So you start building this intel of like who these kids really are, like who is who, right? And this has been established through, you know, arrests, unfortunately. And the fact is, I have taken more drugs out of Kitty Hawk Middle School than basically any other Judson school combined altogether, right? So I was really that was like my focus, right, is getting drugs. So no, you know, students approached by another kid who's a little bit more schooled and say, hey man, just try this or do this or that. So that was my main concern, was the drugs on campus. Last year the SRO barely made any arrests or anything like that. Yeah. And so they thought that they had like a drug epidemic this year, which is untrue. It was going on. It's just nobody was really kind of knocking it down, really, like trying to get the dope off there. And, you know, unfortunately, you know, students have been arrested from the school for that reason. So building intel and keeping my sources confidential was basically my information, right? And these students that have been telling me, I've used the same students, and they're credible because I've made arrests on what their information was. Now, the information on Jonah was that he has been seen or heard telling students that he was a drug dealer or that he was a dealer or whatever. And so I just kept that information, not a big deal. But I do my research. So what I did was I went back into the Judson system and the discipline just to kind of see, and I did it with a bunch of students. Let me see what their behavior's like, and let me see if there's any cases involving that student. And I did that. And I found that last year, Jonah was searched and found in possession of ammunition. And so obviously that causes concern for me at that time. This was like, you know, we're talking like maybe 2-3 months ago. And so I just kept that, you know, in the back of my mind. Well, I got information that a student didn't make it to ISS. He was instructed to go to ISS. He didn't go. So I go looking for him. Check the cameras. I see that he's up in a certain area. I don't want to give the school's business as far as property and blueprints, but I find him, that kid I was looking for, and Jonah in the restrooms, which I've made multiple arrests of marijuana, either transactions or possessions on. So
At the restroom?
in the restrooms, not that one in particular, but other restrooms,
School
right?
restrooms.
Mm-hmm. And so the student he was with, that student also, I have information that teachers and students have heard him say in class, like the teacher asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? And his response was, I want to be bigger than Pablo Escobar, right? Obviously that's nowhere near like probable cause to do anything with, right? But you just build intel over the time, and I've learned this through working with narcotics detectives. And so you just build this information. So when I walked in there, neither one of them were in any like movement towards the door. They were in there just hanging out, having a conversation. I instructed them to come outside. The reason why I did that is because there are cameras out in the hallway, and it protects me. I don't have body cameras. Right.
Okay.
So I bring them out there, and I say, y'all put your hands on the wall, and based off of his report from the year before that he had ammunition, I just want to protect myself, and there's also 2 of them. So I felt that reasonable enough, given the fact that there was ammunition found on him the year before, to at least conduct a pat down. If it's one student, I don't typically do it if there's no information, right? I'm not going to put one student's hands on the wall and pat him down. I will, however, walk behind them while we walk to the principal's office. That way I can keep my eye on him. Now with 2, you can't do that, and also the circumstance of his report about the ammunition the year before. So as he's coming out, I said, put your hands on the wall. He says, you're not going to search me. And I said, young man, put your hands on the wall or it's about to get real. And so he put his hands on the wall. I conducted a pat down of the other student. And with 2 of them, I didn't feel comfortable having to walk them down myself, so I contacted the principal. The principal came up, and then we walked them down to the principal's office. Now, he did ask to call his parents. However, at that time is not the time to just get on your cell phone and call. We contact the parents and say, this happened. That's what we do, right? So we walk down there. He sits in the office, and then they call him back to the principal's office. And I'm in there. I gave the principal a little gist of, what happened, and, this is going on. Well, she felt that she wanted to conduct a search. And the way that works is that the students, while they're in school, they're under basically in loco parentis, which is the principals are in place of the guardians at that time, right? So if they feel like it's in the interest of school safety, they'll conduct a search. And yes, there are some principals that have them take their socks off and everything. Typically, it's pull your shorts out, you know, pat your pockets, look through your bag, you know, simple stuff like that. But in this instance, Jonah did take his socks off. Now, I'm sitting there just doing my own thing on my phone because I'm just there to take any evidence she finds into custody. There's no, like, it wasn't very intrusive, is what is being portrayed online. The door was unlocked. I saw one video saying something that the door was locked and that he was intimidated by a police officer, and which was very untrue. But they conducted the search, and then the principal called mom. Mom said, call dad. So, which I didn't know, stepdad, whatever, that doesn't bother me. I don't know who he is, but they just said, call dad.
Who called mom?
The principal. Right, mom said, call dad. So that's what she did, and then while she's discussing the situation, I can hear the dad probably wasn't really agreeing with what was going on, because she was like, you know, sir, just, you know, understand, and trying to get him to just listen for a second. And while that was going on, I had Jonah next to me, and I said, hey, Jonah, I said, I just want to let you know, I understand you said I don't want to be searched or whatever, but I want to educate you on your interaction with police officers as a whole, right? Now, I've seen videos where you guys have resisted what you believe is unlawful, right? And you're obviously within your rights to do that. However, with everything going on right now in the world, like, I try to educate these kids because I talk to them way more than any other officer on the outside has ever been to talk to them, right? Because I see them every day. So I know them. I build personal relationships with these kids. So I was like, hey man, like, I get it, right? You know, you don't want to be searched, but you didn't know my intentions. My intention was not to search you. I just wanted to make sure you didn't have any weapons. And right at that moment is not the time to just say, you're not going to do this or do that. I said, what you need to do in the interest of your
suspicion. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's not, you couldn't.
For me, if you wanted to search me, and I said I don't want to be searched, that wouldn't raise any suspicion, because you know what I'm doing.
It raises a threat assessment, especially with the ammunition prior. You know, it kind of raises your threat assessment of the student. But either way, I told him, like, hey man, like, just go, like, say, okay, yes sir, whatever. Let him conduct. If he wanted to search you, he could search you, and then that will be unlawful. Get the report number, make sure it's documented, and then sue his ass later. I said, but right then in the moment, just comply, you know. And I explained to him, a pat down. I said, son, like, I could pat you down, feel your pocket on the outside, and feel like what I probably know through training and experience is maybe a baggie of marijuana. I cannot go in there and pull that baggie out, because that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for weapons. I can't reasonably articulate that a little baggie of marijuana is going to harm me, right? So I kind of educated him a little bit, and I said, if your dad has any questions, he's more than welcome to come up here, and I'll tell him. And so he, you know, we fist bumped and everything. So I just went along with my business. And then that was like the 6th or the week prior. And then when I got to work on Monday, I was directing traffic, and I hear about, hey, we're getting multiple calls about a video. And, you know, to me, I was just like, probably some Snapchat video or whatever, because we had a situation.
Who came to you about that?
I just heard it over the campus radio. And said something about a video. So I was just like, okay, whatever, like, Snapchat video. We had a previous situation where a Snapchat video ended up getting to the Attorney General's office, right? So I was like, it's kids fighting or whatever. They videotaped that. So that didn't raise any concern. And so then I go to the patio, and then Jonah approaches me, and he has a letter, right? And it says on there, campus police. And okay, 7th grade ears, I don't want that shit. It's probably not something I should say. I get that. However, I've found through being an SRO that if you use general language with these kids that they use way worse than an officer, if you use that, it almost kind of like shocks them, like, oh man, the officer's a real person. Like, you know, hey, he cussed. Okay, whatever.
Establish a connection.
Right. And so it wasn't like, I didn't know anything about the video. I knew a video, but I assumed it was a fight caught on Snapchat or something. But the video was already out, and so obviously that interaction doesn't look very good. But it wouldn't have been any different had that video not ever been out. Like, I'd have still said the same thing. And I told him I don't take notes from parents. And I don't. I had already explained to him, you know, hey, tell your dad to come in, man. Like, let him see that I'm a real person, and my interest was for the safety of him and everybody else. So then, after the kids go in and get into the classrooms, right, I go into my office. Well, I get a call saying come to the conference room. So I walk into the conference room, and then I see like a bunch of district officials in there. And so I walk in there, and they're like, hey, can you tell us about the search? And I was like, what search are you talking about? Because they had already seen the video. And they said that the one with Jonah last week. And I said, oh yeah, I said the initial one he tried, right. And this is like, I'm going to start exactly how it went. They asked me that question, and I said, oh yeah, Jonah, I said, that he tried to give me an envelope this morning, but I don't take notes from parents. But last week when I found him in the restroom, and then I go into my story, right? Well, again, I don't know anything about a video. I walk out of that room explaining what happened, and I go to my office and I'm like, tell me what's the YouTuber's name. He says SA Ecstasy Prez, whatever. I actually didn't even know what the hell it said at that time until I heard somebody on the camera say, this is what it is. Right, yeah.
Okay.
So it was like, we watched like a minute and a half, and they had like a passing period. So I had to go back out to the patio just to kind of walk around, let them know, hey, officers on campus, whatever, just like every other day, right? Okay. And then 30 minutes later, I get a phone call, and it says, hey, did you have it was well, I don't really want to say who it was on the phone, but it was somebody in my leadership that said, hey, did you have an interaction with that student this morning? I said, yes, I told you. And I said, he tried to give me a note. And they said, well, what happened? And I said, well, he came up to me with campus police written on there, and I said, I don't want that shit. You know, I don't take notes from parents. And I'm paraphrasing, but I said something like, you can go to the PD with it, or you go somewhere else with it, whatever. But the person on the phone goes, you didn't say that this morning. I said, nobody asked me about that this morning. They asked me about my interaction last week, and I just divulged, yeah, he tried to give me a note, but I don't take notes from parents. And so they're like, well, come to the PD. And so I walk in, and of course there's some district official there, and they have a complaint filed for false statements, because apparently they took whatever I said in the morning as an official statement, which it was official about the situation the week prior, and they said since I didn't they saying that it was false statements. However, the first time I was asked about the situation, I told them what I said. So I was really confused at that time, right? So and I've signed some write-ups, I will say that, but none about lying, because I've never lied to them. And I'll even give you a situation. I got smacked in the face by a student 2 years ago, 8th grader, and I said something to the effect, you better not fucking do that again. And next time I'm gonna have your fucking ass or face in the pavement or some shit to that effect. Of course, it's 2 years ago. I don't remember, but I know 2 F-bombs were dropped, and it was in the presence of other students to that kid. So I called the Sarge and I said, hey Sarge, just want to let you know, like, any negative interaction I had with a student, I called my sergeant and said, hey, this is, you know, you get a phone call about this? Yeah, I said, fuck twice. And he's like, all right, cool, you know. So for me for them to write me up for false statements that I didn't disclose, that I said the word shit, I was like, that to me that's not accurate, right? But however, they have a little bit more power than I do at that moment, and they were looking for somebody to hang, if you will, for all the bullshit that had been stirred up by the videos, which I'm telling you right now, they were filled with false information. The video that I ended up watching while I was put on administrative leave without pay, I obviously had plenty of time at that moment to watch the videos. So I'm looking at all the other videos that are being made, the comments that are being made, and I'm like, there was nothing unlawful about what happened. So I was very shocked that not only did he believe that without coming to me when I told Jonah, like I said, we pounded it when we left. Yeah, I thought he had a better understanding, and that he would go to Dad and say, "Hey, Dad, you need to go talk to the officer about this." But nobody asked me. When they asked me about the video they asked me about what I said to Jonah, and that's when I told them, I said, "I don't want shit about whatever," and they said, "Well, that you reported that interaction." I said, "Okay." I'll sign a shit right up. You know, like you said, shit.
Did anybody discuss anything about the
Take it. How many more funerals do we gotta go to? How many more scenes of the crime do we gotta watch?
When they asked me about the video they asked me about what I said to Jonah, and that's when I told them, I said, "I don't want shit, blah blah blah, whatever," and they said, "Well, Dad said that he recorded that interaction," and I said, "Okay, I'll sign a shit right up." And with the search part of it, as a principal, it's basically like, say, Dad wanted to search Jonah, and Jonah said, "You're not going to search me," which he never said in the office. He said it to me up, like I told you, up in the hallway. But he never denied the search while we were in the office. Either way, it doesn't matter to me because it wasn't my deal. I was just in there to take it.
Did he give consent to the administrator? Did he say you can search me?
No, nobody. I mean, it's just like, give me, all right, you know what's going on. Like, I got to search you. Type thing. And so then he complied with what was being asked. So as far as the lawful or unlawful part, there was literally nothing. It's like if Dad wanted to search Jonah at home, and Jonah said, "You can't search me." Well, Dad's not going to go, "Well, okay, son, you said I can't search you." But even though I have reasonable suspicion, because the principals don't need probable cause, unfortunately. On what I watched the video, that's what I thought.
The research that I've done, that's a true statement.
Yeah. So, and that's what I was like. He thinks that that Jonah is an adult downtown San Antonio and gets approached by a police officer. Or y'all being downtown. He doesn't have those same liberties, if you will. That an adult does downtown, and a cop walks up to them. They're placed in local parenthesis. Is in the place of a guardian. So it's like Dad's gonna, if Dad says, "Hey man, someone told me you're doing this or doing that," I'm gonna search your bag just to make sure you don't have it, because I care about your safety. And so even if you did deny the search, from what I've read in law as far as the administrative side, because I don't really read a lot of the administrative side, so now we get into the point where I'm on administrative leave, right? Well, I wanted a one-on-one with my leadership. So I go in there and obviously express my displeasure with her. I can use a little bit more lenient language. I was like, this is bullshit type stuff, you know, whatever. And my character has never been questioned and not held true. And nobody's defending me right now. But the firestorm that the one video created, and I told him I don't want that shit before I even knew the video was on, that he took a video of it. Because I don't I'll sign the write-up for saying shit. My bad. You know, but like I said, that's a rapport builder to a certain extent.
It's not the worst thing that a person can do.
Right.
Sorry.
Right. But the way it happened is that they released what I believe was a press release prior to all that. And so I was asked, well, you know, Fleming, I just got off the phone with like 30 people calling into the PD saying, you know, what type of officer is he? And I told him he's a great officer, he's highly trained, he's a great father, and all this stuff. And now what am I supposed to tell him, Fleming? And I'm like, you tell him the same shit you told him 30 minutes ago. That I'm a great officer, that I'm highly trained, and I'm a great father. Like, nothing's changed because I said I don't want shit. But they believe that statement about the search was an official statement about my interaction with Jonah in the morning, which it wasn't. Nobody asked me that. So I go on administrative leave, and I start thinking, right?
That's kind of tricky.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you know, false statements to me, that's a cop career killer. You know, because any defense attorney can subpoena the files, find that one thing, and we're talking about. Because the reality is, I'm graduating in June, and my plan was to go to a federal agency or DPS. And doing that, I couldn't have a false statements in my record. I mean, that nobody's gonna hire me, right? And that's all I've worked for in the last 10 years is just trying to get my shit together prior, you know, and get back on the right track. And I felt like I moved here to the school district so I could go full time and have my kid more. Like, what other reasons do you need, you know what I mean, to know who I am? And this video, like, just, I mean, it's a domino effect. Bad shit started happening as soon as this video came out.
Oh.
But he put out another video.
He put out something.
Of course, obviously,
clearing.
the firestorm had already happened, and I was already on admin leave by the time he put it out, saying, well, now I found out the officer only patted him down, this, that, and the other. So the damage had already been done, regardless if you come back and say it later. Like, it's already been done. And now you search Kitty Hawk on anything, now it's like videos with my name in it. You know, I'm like, what the fuck? My character's never been questioned, and everybody knows me. If my character was really what was being portrayed, then I wouldn't put my damn ex-wife of 6 years on my personal references for job questions. She's also my son's mother. And you know what? She's not going to say everything great about me. She's going to be like, yeah, he's fucked up back in the day, whatever, but led to this situation. He's a great man now, blah, 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 blah. Like, she's just going to be real. That's why I put her on there. And then I know that the background investigators are curious enough to call her, right? They're like, what? He put his ex-wife on there? So that's why I do that. But my character had already been trashed. I got parents at that school that think now that I'm this cop that intimidates kids and just searches them unlawfully, and that's just not the truth, man. And I mean, there's obviously I was jotting shit down as I'm watching the videos and everything, and it just
things in the videos that you haven't addressed that aren't true.
I think on one it said something that he wasn't notified.
I think it's important if there's something in the videos that is not true.
Well,
or
so
is
the
not
sergeant,
accurate or
right?
Fully explained. If you want to touch on that.
Yeah. The sergeant called me, and he said, "Hey, Dad just called. Whatever." He said he wasn't notified about this. The first time he heard of it was when his son told him. That was untrue. I mean, obviously that's.
How did
hearsay.
that go down?
Well, he called me and he said, what happened? I tell him, he goes, well, how come y'all didn't call the dad or parents? And I'm like, we did. He was giving Miss Slate the business on the phone. You know, like, I know he was contacted.
This was during the first incident when he was inside the principal's office and he turned his socks and shoes inside out.
Yeah,
and they were talking.
This was a couple hours later when I guess he called the PD upset.
It wasn't during the search; it was later on.
Yeah, it was
They
later
got
on.
Okay.
And even before Monday when the video originally came out.
Okay.
So. I mean, look, you know, that's basically the story. And so then they put me on admin leave. So my recourse to that was I had a bargaining chip, and the chief was I guess you could say kind enough to say if you resign, well, this can go away type shit, right?
Okay.
Which is, I mean, I don't want that out there, because she's looking out for me, because she knows
I'll be honest with you. My direction is now starting to turn. Using a cuss word it's here on the. We shouldn't.
Right. Yeah. Right.
There's reasons to do it. There's justifications for it. But at the end of the day, it's probably not the best practice.
Right.
And so, but that's way down here on the problem. And we got this big problem up here of the administrator. Granted, and I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Granted, she may be covered under the law as to her actions in that room, searching his bag, socks inside out, whatever. But it appears to me that she refused to allow any communication with the parents during that time, and that to me, just my personal opinion, that seems to be the biggest issue, and they have not even glanced over at that. They did right after you pulled you into an office, asked you some questions, and tricked you into saying something that they could twist and put on paper, do something to you and say, hey, look what we did about this whole situation, which really they haven't done shit about the situation. It still exists,
right?
To my knowledge. So unless they
and so about that communication, right? Like, typically, I can't say I've been in there to where they've said, okay, well, you call your parents before. We typically, I say we, not the police department, but as a school, they do a search and then they call mom, dad, whatever. Hey, this is what happened. Regardless if the kid had said, hey, I want to call my parents first, because I'll tell you, we've had also situations where the kid calls dad or mom or whatever, and then the dad says, you're not talking to my kid until I get there. And so then when they get there, they say, hey, I want a private room. I want to speak to my son before he says anything. And then we found that they turned the evidence over to the parent, because the parent originally sent the kid to distribute amongst the other students. So, back to the whole administrative deal, I want to have a career. I want to have a future. I have a backstory that's just, I want it to be told, but I also want a future in a certain career field. So it's kind of like I'm kind of like on the edge. Like I have one page that I share other stuff about, addiction and stuff like that. But so I'm on a different path. I couldn't be almost 10 years clean without living with integrity, right? And so I don't care if there's cameras or if there isn't. I want to have a career, and that false statements is not going to be something that I need in my file. Even if they do a slap on the hand, he got verbally counseled for lying, basically. It was easier for me to just say, peace, whatever.
Right, because you're at will.
And fortunately enough, I had already paid a year of rent ahead of time, because I was contemplating not going back to work after the Christmas break and really going to school full time. So I was able to really pursue. And I'll tell you, you're not going to believe this, but I have pictures to support the evidence that it was Wednesday, I was taking my son to the dentist. I got cut off by a car. And I'm on admin leave at this time, right? I get cut off by a car, slam on my brakes. I obviously reestablished the lane. I look up and the license plate was jobless. I pulled into the dentist's office and I called the chief and said, you're gonna have my resignation.
My point is that, you know, the vice principal may be covered under the law. They may have done everything right under the law.
Right.
May not have violated any laws or any rules, but it might not be the best business practice to not notify the parents. You want to search the kid
Prior to.
If the kid doesn't want to be searched. If guns were involved or something that you're suspecting is going to put somebody's safety in jeopardy, definitely we're not hesitating on that. But if it's something else, then you know, I have a problem with the administrator not notifying the parents.
Well, prior to or just at all?
Prior to.
Gotcha.
Just, you know, in the office there, kid wants the parents called. Fine, let's call the parents right here and right now. Knowing Todd as little as I do, but knowing him and what he stands for, and you know what he's said from time to time, I would put my money on that if the administrator had called him at the time. Todd would have probably got Jonah on the phone and said, empty out your pockets, I'm on my way down there. But do what they tell you to do, empty out your fucking pockets. And then Todd would have went down there and figure out what the fuck's going on. And, you know, it may have been like I am. First thing that's in my mind is, what did Jonah do? What did my son do to be in this situation? Again, the only time I ever got in trouble is when I was actually doing something. I caused myself to be there. So I'm concerned with, son, what are you doing that you're in here in this office? Mm-hmm. So, you know, that, and ideally, I think how this probably should have went down, you know, once they got in contact with the parent, and it being after the fact, okay, the particular type of parent this is, he's going to be upset, fine, look past that, get him in there, meeting, talk about what occurred, if, you know, and establish that, okay, if this happens in the future, and Jonah wants his parents called, this is how we're going to handle it.
Right, yeah.
We're going to call the parents, and then everybody would have been happy, and probably he could have just let bygones be bygones unless it happened again. Mm-hmm. But they didn't do that.
Right.
In fact, what they did do, we initially contacted them, we got them up on it.
I'll tell you why, because he wasn't trying to hear what she was saying to him about the process. And then how long are you going to be on the phone with someone who's not really listening?
I think
and
that
she said, if you have any other questions, you're more than welcome to contact this room. Thank you.
I think there's somebody there that's a lot smarter than Todd.
Right. Yeah.
They got degrees. They got.
That doesn't always mean smarter.
Problem solving. I think there's somebody there that could have probably found a solution, some kind of neutral meeting ground, if you will, with an irate parent. Even if that parent is irate for the wrong reasons, we have to de-escalate it. We have to. Tell you what, when you're, sir, you know, I don't know. When you're calmed down, we can talk. We'd like to meet with you, but right now we're not getting anywhere. Can we have this discussion at a later time, or can you cool down and call me back? Can I call you back when everybody's cool? And they could have made up 100 reasons. Hey, listen, there's something going on.
Right.
Let me call you right back. There's 100 ways to deal with somebody that's irate on the phone. Other than.
To be honest with you, I wasn't even really listening because I was talking to Jonah the whole time. However, you didn't come talk to me about it, number one, and then I explained to Jonah that you're more than welcome to have him come in and talk to me, but no one called me, no nothing. No one tried to contact me. Nobody. Because I need my name cleared right now, because people all over the place are you know, messaging me going, dude, here's another video, it's on this site, it's on Facebook, and I'm like, dude, like, this is crazy. And then also ask his viewers, or y'all's viewers, whatever the group is, to stop calling the school, because number one, we already know they're not going to answer anything. Number two, the ladies are taking these calls and these people are telling them to kill themselves, all this other shit. I don't know, can I say shit on the camera now? And and not only that, but they're tying up phone lines for maybe a possible emergency. And that's my, like, again, I don't have any loyalties to that school anymore, right? Trust me, I like your videos a little bit better because you're a little bit more, I'm not trying to be condescending, but like a little bit more mature about how you're going about it, and the things you say are factual. The other videos, you know, SAXZ Prez, that slacker dude, I don't think James Madison and our forefathers that built this country, when they were thinking about morals and amendments for free speech, I don't think fat fucking pig, you fat fucking pig was in their mind.
So at the end of the day, what did you do wrong?
That's what apparently I lied. And not only that, I still didn't know there was a video of a recording of him interacting with me. Oh, I think we're good. It is still, so it's not like I knew a video was out, so then I went and told on myself. I didn't know the damn video came back out.